F1 News: Lewis Hamilton hurt, Valtteri Bottas to Ferrari, McLaren adrift of Red Bull. Bottas to Ferrari possible. Major sponsor Valtteri Bottas could end up at Ferrari next season, according to one of Finland's richest men. Bottas was drafted in as a short-notice replacement for retired F1 world champion Nico Rosberg, who left just 5 days after winning his maiden title. The 28-year-old finished third in the F1 World Drivers' Championship last year but endured a difficult start to the 2018 season, coming home 8th in Australia after crashing in qualifying and starting 15th. The result heaps further pressure on the Finn, whose contract expires at the end of the season, but Antonio Wairi, Finland's third richest man and a major sponsor of Bottas, believes the driver could move one garage down the pit lane. "I think, Kimi Räikkönen's time is coming to an end," Arnio Wairi told Finnish magazine Urheilulehti. "Last year we saw that his driving started to become inconsistent. Probably his interest is starting to fade. Valtteri's move to Ferrari can still be quite possible." In the meantime, every F1 driver dreams of driving for Ferrari at some point. Australian GP nightmare for Hamilton. Palmer Lewis Hamilton will be hurting after losing out to Sebastian Vettel during the Australian Grand Prix despite having driven the perfect weekend. Hamilton had taken pole on Saturday with a sensational lap in Q3 and subsequently held off Kimi Räikkönen on the way into Turn 1. But having taken his pit stop and retained the lead over the Finn, Vettel was afforded the chance to do so under the virtual safety car and come back out in the lead. Mercedes had the pace in Melbourne, Palmer wrote in his BBC column. Hamilton did everything right and had the Australian Grand Prix under control, yet he did not win. And to make matters worse, his main rival and fellow four-time world champion Vettel did. It will hurt for Hamilton. Having driven a perfect weekend, to lose a race through matters outside of your control is a nightmare scenario. As a driver, there are so many questions you want to ask your team to figure out how things went wrong, but ultimately this one is mainly down to a stroke of bad luck. McLaren optimism may be misplaced. McLaren have been shown up as a long way off Red Bull in terms of chassis development, according to one F1 expert. Fernando Alonso recorded his joint highest finish since rejoining McLaren in 2015 on Sunday, coming home 5th. And the Spaniard promised to challenge Red Bull for third in the Constructors' Championship, but the numbers suggest he is a long way off doing that. The Melbourne weekend actually only confirmed what was strongly suggested in testing, that the MCL33's raw performance is well adrift of the RB14s, Sky Sports expert Mark Hughes said. "The nearest we saw to a direct comparison was probably in the late stages of Sunday's race when Alonso, fending off Max Verstappen's delayed and damaged Red Bull, was pushing hard on 31-lap-old soft tires and took one M26.978s to complete his 57th lap. Red Bull's Daniel Ricciardo, pushing hard to pressure Kimi Räikkönen's Ferrari, set the race's fastest lap on lap 54 on 28-lap-old soft tires at 1 M25.945s. He added, "In summary, McLaren's lap time deficit to Red Bull seems to be somewhere between 1s and 1s.3s. That was the hard reality of Melbourne, but with extenuating circumstances that might imply it's not necessarily a permanent state of affairs."